Hi there, Anne again with another true life story. This one is a revenge prank from my military days. In the mid 1980s, a lifetime ago, I was assigned to an intelligence duty position with the National Security Agency at Fort Meade, Maryland. Let's just say I sat with headphones on for 8 hours a day, listened to stuff, and typed out what I heard. My section was Joint Service. I was Army, as were about half of the troops in the section, but we had sailors and airmen too. When we were on our swing shift, second shift, rotation, we spent a lot of boring hours listening to static while our targets slept. There was a lot of time to talk. That also meant there was a lot of time to cook up pranks and schemes for some of my coworkers. We had one member of the section, sadly Army, who was a compulsive liar. We don't know how he ever passed his polygraphs and got a security clearance. He would make up the wildest things and wouldn't back down when he was called out. He stuck by some real whoppers. For example, he claimed while taking Christmas holiday leave that he traveled from New Jersey in an NYC suburb to Canada transporting firearms and went white-tailed deer hunting in Ontario for several days. First of all, a service member, then or now, couldn't just go to a foreign country without clearing it with his command, even to Canada or to the Philippines. If you know, you know. They gave us enough espionage training that we all knew that. Second, as confirmed by another soldier in the section whose hometown bordered Ontario in upstate New York, and whose family did hunt in Canada, the hunting season ended a week or more before Christmas. The timelines didn't match up even a little bit for this guy. He continued to claim he and his dad took 5 deer and hauled them back to New Jersey a couple of days after Christmas. Did I mention the dude was also paranoid? Every time we'd get espionage training on something or be briefed, think Jonathan J. Pollard or The Falcon and the Snowman, he would get the heebie-jeebies and start talking conspiracy theories. Seriously, I don't know how he got a security clearance. One night, when we were on night shift, an airman stole a huge roll of police blind do not cross tape from a construction zone where they were replacing the ceiling at NSA and using the tape to rope off the area. He and some accomplices wrapped the guy's car in it, over, under, and around before shift the next night. He was late to shift because he called the military police and had them come out and file a report before he unwrapped the car. The culprits were never caught. I doubt the MPs looked very hard for them. He had dozens of conspiracy theories about that. It was all he would talk about for weeks. One boring night, after Canada hunting lie, that incident, and lots more lies, some guys in the section got a brilliant idea. They were going to teach him a lesson. The plan was to set him up, have him arrested for espionage. The whole section was in on it, including our Air Force crew chief. They had it all planned out. They convinced me while he was on his meal break that I needed to pretend to have been an undercover agent all along, working in the section, targeting him for more than a year. I was tiny, young, and cutesy back then, and they told me, "He likes you, he trusts you." I had no idea how I was going to convince this guy I was an undercover Fed. I needn't have worried. They had that plan too. NSA used to, then at least, uniformed Federal Protective Service officers as building security. Coming to work, you punched a code. As you ran your badge through a scanner, they watched over, but they would still check the badge to make sure the picture matched the person. The FPS guys that worked second and third shift, when few of the thousands of agency civilians worked, got to know all the troops coming in and out by name and face pretty well. There was one who always made it a point to talk to me, to ask me about my day and so forth. The guys in the section were like vultures and picked up on that. 2 of them took me down to see this guy on a lunch break one night and got him to give me his wallet badge. He had a badge he wore on his gray uniform shirt. He didn't typically have to pull out the wallet badge. I had to promise to give it back the next night he worked, a couple of days later. We set the plan in motion the next night. I logged out of my station, went up to the crew chief on the raised platform he and the analyst worked on, and in front of everyone who was watching, about 30 people, showed him the badge and told him I needed to take such and such soldier for questioning. It was all the chief could do to contain his laughter, but he gave me permission to take him and to use a cubicle a day shift person typically used right there in the section. Everyone would be able to hear at least me. Now, the target has his headset on, oblivious to what everyone else was focused on. He's trying to do his job. I walk up to him, tap him on the shoulder. He looks up at me and grins like an idiot. I tell him he needs to log out and come with me. He asks me why. I flash him the badge and tell him, log out, in a military tone. We were the same military rank, mind you. He gets up, all 6 feet plus of him, and follows tiny me to the cubicle. When we got there, I told him he was arrested, and I started reciting the Miranda rights I'd been practicing. People are going nuts in the section. He tries to interrupt me, but I finish his rights. He asks me what the charge is, and I tell him espionage. Dude starts shaking. When he gets a little control, he chuckles. He says, "Come on, that badge isn't real." I pulled it out again and showed the very real badge to him. I explain I work for the NSA as undercover FPS, and I'll be transferring him to the FBI for questioning. Again, they had it all planned out. He's shaking and stuttering now, asking what the exact charges are. I tell him unauthorized international travel to confer with foreign operatives. "Where?" he asks me. I say, "Canada." He jumps up and tells me he thinks he's going to be sick. I authorized a male Air Force sergeant, a couple of ranks above the 2 of us, to escort him to the lavatory, restroom, then bring him back. 10 minutes later, when they come back with the sergeant holding him by the arm, we all yell, "Gotcha!" He collapsed onto the floor and sat there for a few minutes. Finally, the crew chief told him to get back to work and stop the nonsense. Wish I could say he stopped lying after that. He didn't, but the tales weren't nearly as tall and the conspiracy theories were ignorable. I tried to look him up the day I wrote this all down. I searched his name. Nothing. I searched New Jersey records and New York records. Nothing. I searched all over social media. I found one Facebook profile with his name, but there's no photo, no information, and only 4 friends from various corners of the globe. No idea if it's him. I even searched obituaries going back years. Still nothing. He's disappeared.